Hi everybody, Eric Swanson with DuraBurb here in Orange County, Central Florida, and this video segment is on the HD series Duramax Hummer from DuraBurb. Now, as you can see by looking at this H2 SUT, it retains a factory stance, normal ride height. It doesn't really look any different from any other Hummer you would see going down the road. Actually, the only giveaway is the Duramax Allison badging on the side, and of course when we go around the back of the vehicle, the telltale 5-inch stainless steel tip hanging out the back. But short of that, you really wouldn't pick this H2 out of a lineup as being anything all that terribly unique. But in fact, this is the HD segment of the Duramax H2s that we build here at DuraBurb. Now, what is unique about this truck is that the HD series carries a 10.5 or 11.5 inch full floater rear differential. Now, the advantage of that rear differential is the ability to plant very high horsepower levels. We build this truck in 3 different segments. It comes as an all-duty, which is most applicable for normal use of a Duramax H2. That is the most utilitarian application of the vehicle. And that's where we keep the all-wheel drive front differential in it and the locking 9.5 inch rear differential. And this provides the ability to run the vehicle as an all-wheel drive truck like it came from the factory, or to divorce the front wheels via the transfer case. Now, in the medium duty, we set it a little bit apart from that in that we install the fully locking front differential in the vehicle, and that gives you a truly locking 4x4. And that is more applicable to people who are taking these vehicles off-road and using them as serious four-wheel drive toys. Now, this is the heavy-duty series, which again utilizes the HD rear differential, and it is most applicable for people putting down horsepower more than 450 and torque more than 750 foot-pounds. You'll notice when we look underneath the vehicle that while it has a 14-bolt full floater rear differential, it still retains all the factory sway bars, panhard bar, all the geometry of the spring and forward link is all correct. And so it gives you the ability to run this full float rear end and still keep a factory look. The other thing you'll notice is that when you get up in here, you can see just behind the rim here, there's a spacer. That's an 1.5 inch spacer, and that allows us to make up the difference for that 2.5 or so inch axle hub assembly that comes through the center so that we can get the cover back on. So in the end, we have a nice clean factory look. The other advantage is it pulls the wheel out 1.5 inches so that it lines up correctly with the front wheel. So if you're running an oversized tire, it's not so obvious that the rear end is staggered in, as is normal with GM vehicles. Now, again, as mentioned, having a 10.5 inch or 11.5 inch full floater rear differential, one may wonder, why do you need that? Well, that's because this particular Hummer is not the average daily driver. It is utilized as a daily driver, but it's not your typical Hummer. This truck has an LVZ from an 06 or 07 Silverado, and it makes 600 horsepower and 1,200 foot-pounds of torque. So even though when we look at it, as you can see, everything is still, as we say at DuraBurb, in the factory position and OEM in form and function. It does get the cold air intake that you see over here with the free flow air filter, and the engine sports a 68 millimeter turbo that is 50% larger in airflow capacity than the factory one, and that gives you the ability to move more air that, when complemented with more fuel, means more horsepower. Yet when you look around, again, everything is in the serviceable and factory location if it had come from the manufacturer with Duramax. The nice thing about all the DuraBurb conversions, though, in addition to things like the cold air intake and all, is things like the fact that we retain the factory fan shrouding so that we get maximum cooling. All the control devices like the TCM and ECU, they all are in the original positions that they would have come in from the manufacturer. We keep a factory GM radiator and a factory GM intercooler, along with also even the transmission oil cooler, which is a factory GM piece. So should any of these parts ever fail years down the road on your Duramax H2, well, the be okay because they can be acquired from the manufacturer. So that makes the vehicle 100% serviceable. Now, in order to hold a 1,200 foot-pound Duramax down on the ground, that's no easy task. So thankfully the folks at ProTrans take care of that for us by equipping the vehicle with a Allison Race Prep transmission. It sports a triple disc converter and of course all the power packs and all the different clutch assemblies. And then to get all that to come together, the kind folks at Duramax Tuner provide us with the DSP-5 and all the appropriate tuning so that we can make this fire-breathing monster a reality. The beautiful thing about these trucks, as we say here at DuraBurb, is when you get behind the wheel and you strike the key. Because, as we say, everything simply works. You'll notice that everything comes up correctly. There's no funny messages or check engine lights or anything in the instrumentation panel. Now this client opted to do a really cool stainless steel panel with blue backlighting, so neat look. But when we scan through all the functionality in the dash, you'll notice that everything is there, just as you would expect to see. The vehicle has its engine oil life, its fuel filter life, everything is there. So it all works just as it should and seamlessly. Now the four-wheel drive system is the standard synchronous four-wheel drive system that we use typically on the Hummers. But you'll notice that there's no toggle switch for the rear differential that you see in the all-duty and medium duty. Well, that's because, as mentioned before, this truck sports a HD rear differential, a full floater, which has a G80 locking mechanism that's completely automatic, so there's no need for a switch. Now when we go down to the gear shifter, as with all DuraBurb trucks, you'll notice that we have a manual position. So when we're in drive, the dash appears like this. But when we pull it down into the manual position, you will notice that you get command of the Allison transmission. And then, via the plus and minus buttons that are right here, you can augment the shifting pattern up and down. So you can control the transmission on the fly right here from the center console. If you don't need it, simply put the vehicle back into drive and everything goes back to normal. So, along with that, of course, you have OnStar and climate control, environmental control for the inside of the vehicle. Everything simply works, and it works right. That's the wonderful thing about these Duramax powered SUVs and SUTs, is that you get everything you're looking for and you make no compromises. So, if you are looking for a Duramax powered H2 and the all duty or medium duty, as cool as they are, just isn't enough, and you're looking to put the fear of life into, let's say perhaps a Z06, why don't you give us a call here at DuraBurb and we'll hook you up with a HD series Duramax powered Hummer. My name is Eric. Thanks for taking time to watch our video.